Join us each Saturday for the Justice is Here podcast, an innovative, revolutionary podcast that speaks to justice for all party members across America. We'll speak to leadership, we'll speak to activists, and most of all, we want to hear your opinion. So if you're tired of the two-party system and how it doesn't work for you, tune into this podcast to learn how we can take back the justice that we deserve. Thank you. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Justice is Here podcast. I'm Tracy. I should have two guests, but I think he's having technical difficulties. But before we get started, I have some bills that I have to pay. So let's get that out of the way. First, visit the Justice for All Party website at justiceforall.us. Justiceforall.us. One more time for good measure. Justiceforall.us, where you too can learn all about the party. Hit that subscribe button. We are up to 373. We are up to 373. You all know the goal. The goal is 1,000. So tell your friends, tell your neighbor, tell the lady with too many cats, tell the person that you don't like, tell the person you haven't spoke to subscribe to the channel. Subscribing is absolutely free. You can follow us on TikTok. The Justice for Here podcast is on TikTok. We are also on Blue Sky. We're also on Instagram. And I'm going to save that other announcement until a little bit later. And we've bumped up our numbers. We want you to help us to get 75 likes and 40 shares. So 75 people to like it, 40 people to share it. As I told you all at the beginning of the year, I'm pushing up my numbers as I see the likes go up. And you'll see 75 likes, 40 shares. We can do it because there's 373 subscribers. So if you all like it, we can get there. Gentlemen, first of all, happy Father's Day. I know you both are dads, so happy Father's Day.
Thank you.
And how did you all enjoy the Trump parade? Did you enjoy it today?
I barely realized that it's actually
over
already, or is it still going on?
I have no idea. I didn't know until somebody said there's a protest. I'm like, what? What protest or what? I didn't know. I thought this was, I'm like, they got to be joking. This can't be real. Jose, can you hear me? Jose, can you hear me?
You are in and out. I'm
okay.
Hardwired into the internet. No.
Yeah, because I'm having a hard time hearing you.
You are in.
Yeah, you might. Yeah, you're going in and out. I can hear Tim just fine, but I'm having a hard time hearing you. Not sure what's going on. But you might want to jump out and jump back in, though. Try that. That may work, because I don't know. But yeah, you're in and out, and I don't know why. Or try to put some headphones on. That might work. While I'm thinking about my first question.
I actually wanted to talk about the parade. Sort of.
I don't. You know why I don't want to talk about it?
Here's a little bit I want to talk about.
Yeah, talk about it a little bit, because I'm like...
And it's not directly the parade. There were all these protests that were or are going on nationwide, supposedly. I actually came across something that said that there were 6 protests going on in my county. I find that hard to believe, but okay. That being said, a sheriff from the other side of Florida, I think on the Atlantic coast, if I'm not mistaken, in Brevard County, his name is Sheriff Wayne Ivey, made violent threats to kill one or more protesters with him and his department based upon if people came out for these protests. It's widely available on the internet. He's The quote would be "graveyard dead." So if you do Florida Sheriff Graveyard Dead Google search, you will get 5 or 6 or 7 legacy media video clips on it. You can watch it yourself and have your own take from it. I thought it was just horrifying.
Here's what I'll say about the protest. What type of egomaniac says, "Hey, it's my birthday, let's throw a parade"? who the bleep thinks that? What type of person? Like, it's like I sort of feel sorry for him, but because I dislike him so much, I'm like, dude, what's wrong with you? A parade with the military. Not
He's wanted to do this since his first inauguration in 2017.
What a parade. Like, my birthday's in January, so you're not doing no parades in January. But I wouldn't even think, hey, it's January the 4th. Let's go outside in the winter and do a parade down the street because it's Tracy's birthday. And let's get the military. What type of egomaniac are you? And the people who showed up, who showed up for that, y'all, it's some problems with y'all. I'm sorry. I know I'm supposed to be trying to get people in the Justice for All party, but it's something wrong with you to sit there and think, gee, let me show up to this parade like he's Stalin or like some type of war hero or something. What?
Yeah, I don't know the people who are showing up versus the people who are showing up to protest it. I think it's just not worth acknowledging for the most part, but
yeah, because
unfortunately we've had to.
Yeah, it's like, dude, go away. Go back to Mar-a-Lago. Let J.D. Vance be president. At least he's beatable. Now, Jose, try to speak again. Nope, we still can't hear you. Yeah, he's having technical difficulties. But I just feel like, and I struggle with this as a podcaster, Trump will give you clicks. I tell you now, as a podcast, he will give you those clicks, especially if you don't like him.
Well, it's one of those things when you put out this podcast tonight, perhaps you'll mention, oh, Trump parade was discussed.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that'll get people to watch.
You'll get the clicks.
Not getting organizers, not getting in the streets talking about, hey, millions of people losing their Medicaid and did under the Biden administration this. I can't. I don't understand why somebody would think, gee, let me go to this parade. Sure, is it because it's his birthday, right?
Technically, he claimed it's because it's the Army's 250th birthday. It's a minor holiday known as Flag Day, and it's his birthday all together. It's his 79th birthday. He wants to celebrate the victory of World War II because he's like, we never celebrated it. Dude, we won 80 years ago.
When you were just being born.
But no. Before he was conceived.
Yeah, I'm gonna say he was conceived, so he was somewhere in the building.
We won. We celebrated as everybody saw fit who had participated in the war through the factories and all the strife and everything they went through. And they were like, yay, now can we relax for a minute? And then you were born the next year. So you missed it. That's what happened. Ever since you were born, we've lost a lot of wars.
And to think about, nobody told him, hey, this is a stupid idea. This is not smart. This is just
I think they told
nuts.
him that, though.
I think you got to, but who sits there and yeah, we're going to get to Justice for All news because we got some big news. We got some big news. Tell them we got it. Wait a minute. Jose, are you okay?
I think so.
Okay, now yes. Okay, now we can hear you. But here's the thing, and sometimes y'all know I love Dr. West. Mm-hmm. I've interviewed him 3 times. Sometimes I wish he'd get mean, but then I realize that's what I'm here for. You know, I'm here to be that mean, bitter person that will say what needs to be said, right? What's wrong with y'all people going to this parade? You sitting there, where was it at? Washington, D.C.?
Yeah, Yeah,
You,
right by the Lincoln Memorial. I don't know, maybe down to the Washington, or
yeah,
I don't
you
know.
thought, gee, let me wake up early because Washington, D.C. is notorious for terrible parking. Let me probably take the subway or however you get there, get a chair because you got to stand in parades. Let's just stand out here in the sun. Oh, and it rained. I'm sorry. Let's stand out here in the rain to watch
Did it
Trump.
rain? Did it
Yes,
actually rain?
I think it rained, or rain was projected.
I
What?
knew it was projected. I was
I'm
just
like, what? Who? What is wrong with our country that we just like? I criticize the Democrats for a lot of things, but I don't think any Democratic president has ever said, "Hey, let me have a parade." Oh, it's my birthday. Oh, it's my birthday. I didn't know. It's this flag day. It's flag day.
mind you, his examples of leaders that have had parades like this.
Are all dictators.
Yeah.
Every single last one of them. I'm like, didn't Stalin have a parade? Didn't I don't think Hitler had a parade.
This is like something that they used to do in China. I don't know that they do it anymore. This is something that they do in North Korea. I mean,
Yeah, I'm just like, oh my gosh, guys, come on, let's stop it. And I will talk about this tomorrow on Tracy's Week in Review because I do kind of want to touch on and I'm not going to call them riots, the anti-ICE protests that are going
well,
on in Los Angeles. Trump's illegally brought in the military. This man is doing, he's the rare politician. He's keeping all of his campaign promises. Like he's literally keeping every promise he made. I'm like, yeah, that's what he said he was gonna do. He was gonna send the military in. They're already talking about arresting Gavin Newsom, which, okay, I mean, I guess that wouldn't be terrible. But despite how I feel about Newsom, how did we get to here? How did we get to the fact that most people sit at home and don't vote? And then those that do, they keep voting for the same, well, Trump's not Kamala, or vote blue no matter who. It's like, how did we get to that point? Because it blows my mind.
have you heard of something called the Overton window?
No.
Okay, the Overton window is how society can shift a little bit in one direction or another, based upon how it's being pulled by one set of people. So, what we've had happen is a combination of the Overton window and then a neoliberal ratcheting effect, which I'll have to find you a depiction of this sometime. But essentially, as we keep shifting to the right, and then it goes back to the blue party, and they just stay in the same place. They don't move things back to the left so that we have balance. Instead, things shift to the right with the red party. The blue party makes them stay the same place as if that's where we want to be. And then the red party comes in because everybody wants change, and they shift it even further to the right. Blue party just stops it where it is again. This is how you had Kamala Harris
It
talking
was
about
sexism. It was
how
sexism
wonderful
and
she thought it was
racism.
wonderful to have Dick Cheney there. And obviously, so many people thought he was a monster back when, and that's when he was the vice president as a Republican. How did he go from being the vice president as a Republican to endorsing the Democrat? And they think that's a win.
They think that's a flex. They was like, yeah, look at us. I mean,
This is the issue, is that the two parties are working together against the people. So every
no.
time the people want change,
but-
they change the party between the two. But since they're working together, they just keep going to the right, stop, go to the right, stop, go to the right, stop.
But Tim, it was sexism and racism. That's why she didn't win.
Okay.
I know. Look at the look of sarcasm on my face. I'm just like,
I mean, from my personal experience, psychologically, what happened to me, I was reduced to basically saying, if only Kamala would come out with a strong statement against genocide, not supplying arms to Israel, something really strong that she could not back down from. As much as I had grown to be repelled by her, for that one thing, I would have voted for her because then I could say it was the moral thing. It will stop the killing of Palestinians. But she couldn't even do that. She couldn't even lie to pretend she was changing her position away from Biden's anything goes, Israel, go ahead and slaughter. Um, Before that moment of realization that I would actually give up all of my points, my revulsion, if only she could do that one thing. Before then, I'm a Puerto Rican. I saw the world go nuts against Trump when he started his campaign against Puerto Ricans in his first term. I could go down any neoliberal social media feed and see 30 articles, memes, all bashing Trump for his persecuting Puerto Ricans. And then Biden made this specific promise to the most miserable Puerto Ricans of all miserable Puerto Ricans, and that is the disabled who live on the island, because they are not allowed the safety net that Americans on the mainland get. And Biden went to Florida, which has a sizable Puerto Rican population. He cited to the case that Trump took up on appeal on its way to SCOTUS, and he said, I will stop that. I will stop the Trump appeal so that disabled Puerto Ricans on the island can get SSI benefits. That's disability benefits. Puerto Rico has a weird thing going on where it has such an exodus of natives that the elderly stay behind and the disabled stay behind. So it has a high concentration. I forget exactly, but it's really high, much higher than in the US. So you have a ton of disabled people, which includes babies, neonates, teenagers, elderly, adult age. So when he made this promise, that's a big deal because SSI does two things. It gives you an immediate survival cash stipend. And once you get that, you also get the Medicare card. So it entitles you to the best medical access you can have, as a regular person. You don't have to reach retirement age. So if you're disabled in America, you get a survival stipend and you get Medicare. Puerto Ricans don't get that. Puerto Ricans don't even get the normal amount of food stamps that mainlanders get. So that promise was really specific, and it was a godsend to disabled Puerto Ricans. And he had been talking this talk for a year. And then as soon as he entered the White House, we had a mile-long line of Hispanic organizations, Latino civil rights organizations, AOC, you name it, people on the island, you name it. All of them started to beg him, like, hey, Biden, remember us? Please keep your promise. We really need that. There were three Republican judges, including on the appellate bench. They were all Republican, and they all said Puerto Rico's effectively an apartheid state. It needs to be treated, equally under the law. And so this was part of the SSI rationale. So Biden even had political cover. He could point to Republican judges to do the right thing and get disabled Puerto Ricans treated equally, and he just didn't do it. He did what he's always done, which is let down people of color and poor people. He's done it all his life. Once he did that, then the next thing is, okay, as a democracy where we depend on transparency and accountability, we got to talk about it. This can't happen again. We need to find out what is wrong with that degenerate. It has to happen. We need to have a discussion. My profession as an older adult was in the legal field. I was a worker before that era, but as a person who writes and argues law, I went to all my attorney friends and associates, physicians, experts. We do malpractice. We do trials. It's a community where we talk rationally, where we use argument as something that gets us closer to the truth. The whole idea of deliberative democracy. And I swear to God, I could not get one Democrat in the upper class, the professional class, to look me in the face and have an honest discussion about how could this happen? How could this president who relied on virtue signaling towards Puerto Ricans, and I did not have in all these years, have still not had an intelligent, honest discussion about how that could happen. And what that meant for me was that I am really, I'm really screwed. As a Puerto Rican, under one president, I can matter. They can really milk me for PR. Under another president, he can do whatever he wants as a brown person, a person of color, and it won't matter to these people who every election cycle ask me to vote for their candidate. It's like a switch. So, and I'll tell you, whenever I look at Palestinians, they're the ones who most look like Puerto Ricans to me. I've always looked at them and thought, these guys could be my cousins. So when that happened in his first year, it was horrible, but it should have been predictable that by the end of his term, he was completely okay with Palestinians being blown to bits with our armament and military expertise and technology. So we're living in that era where we can shamelessly marginalize Democratic Party voters. They don't bat an eye. I truly do not matter. So where do I go? Today in my neighborhood, they're having a No Kings march and demonstration, and I see people holding their little signs and whatnot. And I'm actually celebrating Juneteenth, and I'm left out of the picture. There's no role for me in the Democratic Party. There simply isn't. I might agree with them on particular narrow issues, but they are like traitors. I can spend 6 months trying to talk to them. They'll stab you in the back in a second, and they typically do so for factions who have money. They represent the wealthy. I mean, locally, the politics in this town, that's what it's all about. We have one Republican on the council, and the other 5, I believe there are 5, are Democrats. And I spoke to a guy who was running for mayor today, and we looked at each other and we said, why is it that typically we identify more with the Republican than these neoliberal Democrats? And the difference is that the Republican is old-timey. So he does believe, at least on a certain level, the idea of transparency and accountability. The neoliberal Democrats, they're just all over the place. They're all about surface image. They are not real. They don't represent real people. They go with the flow. Wherever the big money is, that's where they go. Those are the real constituents.
I agree.
I just think it's an era where we have stopped thinking critically, like Cornel West. The reason why I love Cornel West is because he's actually a convergence of 3 things. It's like, Greek intellectualism, critical thinking, the legacy of Black American Christianity. I mean, he just puts it all together in a package that's actually not really new. It's just that he puts them all together and he does it with passion.
Yep.
And so what I have decided to do as a citizen is, first of all, completely de-emphasize the fact that I'm a U.S. citizen, because I'm a Puerto Rican, and it's the polity we live in is insane. So I decided in the past year or two you were kind of part of it, Tracy, was I need to personally be different and do things I've never done before, and I am just going to shape myself to be useful in whatever can advance these basic causes: working class, family struggle, integrity in government, accountable government, um, equitable treatment for everyone. And so that's what I've done. And the result is kind of, it's turned me into a mean person.
Yeah.
I have spent the last year arguing with people sitting up there on the city council, in the planning commission. This town is controlled by developers. They're persecuting the homeless. So I just decided to take the fight to them, and I get in their face, and I'm working towards an appeal. And I think what I spoke today with this mayoral candidate is also I met someone from the DSA. So we make these little modest connections, and I think that you hear the neoliberals always talk about we got to do local politics. We have to join the PTA. We have to join the library board. But if we are fighting the people who are wealthy and rich, who are soulless, all they care about is maintaining their 1% status or their 10% status, then we do have, so far, it may be gone, but we do have certain levers of power, and that involves land usage. All these guys are about investing in land development projects. They make gazillions of dollars off of this. And we discovered a project across from us, across the street from us, is rigged. And once you find something crooked, you usually find out it's an entire network of dirty deals and rigs. And so we've done that, and we've been arguing this for the past year, and we actually have put them back on their heels. They've actually stopped building this project because they know as soon as they stick a shovel in the ground, they're going to be liable. So although they are trying to extricate themselves and they're doing a plan B and a plan C, they are at least paying attention to what they're doing, and actually, because they keep trying to evade. Every time they do something, they leave like an evidence trail. So they've actually dug themselves in a hole.
Mm.
So my little bit of proselytizing to people is go sit down in your city council, see what they're doing. If there's a planning commission, see what they're doing. If there's a zoning board, just sit there and check them out. See where the controversy is. See where anyone is complaining about being screwed. Zero in on that. There are certain basic rules that these guys usually try to cheat on. And then zero in on it and keep pushing. Embarrass them. Get them criminally liable. Take it from them. Get in their face. Make them scared. And do this as a community group. We've got like 5 to 7 people who are involved. That's super small. But I'm the legal beagle. I can do law. I know how to argue. I'm not a public speaker. I hate doing this. But for the past year, I've done it very regularly. So I am the mean guy in town now. And, the mean thing, it's simply saying a law exists and it should be applied equally, whether you're a rich developer or a poor schlub like me, it should be applied equally. What usually happens is there is no equality in how they implement law. They usually throw it to the rich guy. And that's what we have to overcome.
Yep. And PSA, this is the one I wanted to announce. Mark your calendars. Here we go. August the 30th at 6 p.m. I am preparing for a 3-hour show because we are having a Justice for All Fundraiser-A-Thon. Our goal is to raise $25,000 in one night. Why am I making this appeal? Because we are looking for talent. So if you are in the Justice for All party, you know who you are, and you can sing, dance, play an instrument, read a poem.
Really?
Anybody that's for Justice for All will be invited to that one night. We're going to have special guests. please get in contact with me. You all know how to do it. Hit me up at tracymcarson74@gmail.com. I will send you the form to complete, but we are definitely on the lookout for that. Our goal is to raise $25,000. And that is because, and Jim, this is where I want you to kind of speak on this. We are trying to run candidates. And to be federally recognized as a party, we have to run a certain amount and raise $5,000. So my theory is, well, heck, if we could raise $25,000, that's 5 candidates that can run for federal office.
What we need, as far as court precedent tells us, is that we need to have a total of about 14 candidates spread out throughout the country that are running for federal office, ideally as soon as 2026. In order to meet that goal, since each candidate has to both get on the ballot and raise at least $5,000, we're going to need to have more campaigns launched, because you don't automatically get on, as we could see from the presidential election just this past session, where there were numerous places where Doctors West and Abdullah should have been on the ballot, but they were knocked out, and frankly, we didn't have the funds to fight it, and it just couldn't happen. So that's what we're fighting uphill against, is to try to make sure that we can get congressional candidates up and running, get them on the ballot, and get them to raise at least $5,000 in each of their campaigns. Now, what they do with that $5,000 is entirely up to them. It can be used in a variety of different ways. I've even heard an idea of utilizing some of the funds to fund mutual aid programs as part of the campaign, because that, frankly, is something that Justice for All candidates largely support. As a matter of fact, I spent today out about 4 hours a day out with the outreach committee at my church, just talking to people about whatever's going on in the world and giving away free food. And it's one of those things where people appreciate these days, is getting an opportunity to speak with people. And if you can share food, it always draws them in.
So definitely sign up. We have one person that has confirmed his attendance. I know what his talent is. I think it's a hilarious idea, and I think it's going to be enjoyable. I'm thinking about doing a stand-up routine that's like 3 to 4 minutes, but I haven't made up my mind yet. But definitely consider signing up. Like I said, we're trying to raise $25,000 in one evening. Yes, I did not stutter. I did not pause. I'm not scared. I know we can do it. I know there's enough of us to do it. We just need to put our minds together and make sure we're doing the work, because we don't get our money from corporations and APAC and big pharma and big tech and no, our money comes from the grassroots. So just wanted to make a plug for that, and I'll make another one and 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 another one, because you know how I am. I have no shame in asking for help when needed, and we definitely need the help.
Always a good plan.
Always. Now, I do want to get to Tillman. I want you to talk about this too. We have some interesting news that has happened for the JFA steering committee. You want to talk about that, or do you want me to talk about it?
I'd love it if you could talk about it.
So we are now, the steering committee is now no more. We don't exist. We've completed our task, and now we are the official national committee. Right? That's right. We do not have steering in our names anymore. We have actual bylaws. We have actual ways that we're going to vote for things, And now we're in our committee work. Each of us have picked there's like what, 20 of us?
I believe it might be upwards of 30 of us.
Okay, so there's about 30 of us. Each of us has picked a committee or several committees. Yours truly, I am on the convention committee. We have our meeting coming up the 22nd. I don't know what committee Tim has picked. Oh, yes, I do. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. But we are moving towards that. And the reason I mention that is, and I don't know how you guys feel about this, I think one of the things third parties do that irks my last nerve, it irks me. I'm like, stop doing this. Why do third party candidates wait till the last minute to declare their candidacy? It makes me so, I don't know why this agitates me. I'm like, look, you know there's going to be a 2026 midterm election. You know it. Today is the day to prepare for it. Not next week, not tomorrow. Like, today is it. Today is the day you need to sit down and be like, yes, I'm running. Right? Because I don't know why this irks me, but it's like, why are you just waiting until the last minute? Why?
Depending upon where which state you're running in, the primaries are usually much earlier in the year than the general election. And
Right.
that's when people start talking about things. So even though your election is not until November, assuming that you get the Justice for All party spot, it doesn't mean that you don't need to be in the public conversation at the same time that they're thinking about other candidates, which might be in the springtime.
Exactly. Exactly. And Nelson has checked in. Biden is a well-known liar and cognitive wow. Tell us how you really feel, Nelson. I want to talk about how do we respond, right? Because I think our response in these times are just so important. And I'll set it up and kind of let you guys answer. I've never seen a time where Democratic supporters have been angry, like outwardly angry with their own party. And I've never seen a time where Republican voters are angry with their party. And we're seeing it at the same time. Can we discuss how we, as the Justice for All party, how we can take advantage of that? Because I think there's an opportunity for us to slide it and say, yeah, here's something for you to consider.
I think we have to look at and I'll call them wedge issues, even though I think they're incredibly major issues, but something like war and your stance on war. A lot of people, MAGA or Trump supporters who voted for him because he was not in the process of supporting a genocide. So if that's what the Democratic Party was offering, and he was not making it clear what his position was, although anybody who knew better knew, he picked up anti-war votes for just that reason. It's clear that we are the only thing propping up Israel at the moment. They've got businesses that have been failing at huge amounts. They have large numbers of people who are leaving the country to go back to Europe or the U.S. generally. It's pretty obvious that we've been involved in the drone targeting that's been going on, and we're supporting Israel, whether we are directly involved or if we are just barely indirectly involved in their new war with Iran
And Yemen. How many places have they
the whole thing about Yemen is Yemen was actually following international law. They were trying to blockade Israel from getting anything as long as Israel was continuing to enforce a stoppage on food and aid items getting into Gaza. And
But what I want you to get to is how to, because you know I'm a how person. I'm like, tell me how to do it. Because I think, like, I don't disagree with anything you said, but I want us to get to the point where we're talking about how. Because to me, the political speaker is pragmatic. You have to have a plan. You can't just go in and say, "Oh, I want to end hunger." Okay, that's goodwill, but how are you going to do it? Okay, I'm going to collect.
To my way of thinking, it's about getting your word out, and one of the most obvious ways to get the word out about you is locally, is to have a candidate or to have multiple candidates, to be running campaigns, to be out and about talking about what's going on and saying, hey, we're the alternative. So I would say anti-war, I would say labor or workers party. And I imagine if I thought hard enough, I could come up with a third item that across the board, neither the red nor the blue have offered the people, that certainly we would, could, and should.
Okay, now Jose, what do you think?
I was at the nearby park celebrating Juneteenth, and I failed because the crowd was both people celebrating Juneteenth, it's a great crowd, but also people who were, Robin and I feel, were co-opting Juneteenth to ride. It was a march. We called it the Freedom March, to insert themselves in that march, get to the park where we were going to have our Juneteenth celebration. And then these people carrying no king signs were going to hang out at the park for a little bit, but then they were going to go to a nearby bridge to do a no kings protest, you know, a neoliberal. And she kind of suggested, so we're going to go over to the bridge. Do you know what time it is? I think I should go. And she looked at us like we were supposed to get excited. And my partner asked her, is it a Juneteenth thing or something else? And at that point, the lady got this look on her face. And my partner was wearing a sickle cell anemia T-shirt that she had gotten at a Juneteenth booth. You know, to raise awareness, to raise funds for sickle cell victims. So the lady looked at my partner's shirt and she said, you know, RFK doesn't believe in medicine or doesn't care about sickle cell. And we both looked at her like kind of nonplussed, like, what are you talking about? And then she kind of marched off in a huff. Apparently, we didn't care enough about No King's Day. And she kind of, I think she maybe categorized us as Trumpers. We don't really know. It was a weird reaction on her part. And I realized my thing is, to answer your question, is I will make a point of telling people I no longer make a distinction between red and blue because I've been hurt by both. Like, I have been directly hurt by both. There's never been a Democratic administration that has not intentionally thrown us under the bus. There just hasn't been. And then the Republicans in high school, as a kid, I knew that they were not for me. So I've never leaned Republican. And yet here I am when I'm in front of the city council, the one who typically seems at least halfway rational is Republican. And it still blows my mind. And it's not ideological. It's simply that he's just not a dirty, double dealing rat. I mean, that's the standard we live with now. So in the case of this lady who kind of wanted to go to No King's Day and it was all about Trump for her, I failed because I didn't even try to reach out to her or make her understand that, look, no offense, but I really don't make a distinction between red and blue. They both hurt me. I might be your ally and go to a No Kings protest if I knew that at one point you really cried bloody murder when Puerto Ricans were thrown under the bus by Biden, or where Biden deported more Haitians than the previous three presidents combined. and did it during COVID times when people were still dying from COVID. Um, I mean, I could go on and on. The genocide first was rubber stamped by Biden. He cleared the path for Trump. So I do not make this distinction between red and blue. And if we really want to leave the crazy times and be rational and see each other as human and uphold each other, we really need to let go of this red and blue, bipolarity. Um, I just don't have a lot of opportunities to have that discussion. When I've been going crazy in the council and writing briefs, and I, it is not even a party ideology thing. It's, look, you guys are turning over public policy to privateers who are wealthy and white, and they don't give a hoot about anything but hoarding wealth and power. And on the other hand, you're looking at the most powerless people in town, the homeless, and you are actively persecuting them and making their lives more miserable than they otherwise would be. You're actually increasing the death rate of our homeless neighbors. So it is a government with integrity issue, and it is a treat people with humanity issue. Like, I've completely let go of this red blue BS. It does not serve any purpose other than to encourage people to stop thinking, to stop being critical thinkers. Like, we're all on automatic now. So I think for me, the first step is psychologically, you have to do a gut check. You have to do a brain check on yourself. And then you need to realize we're living in a disaster that's half a century in the making. Whatever idiocy Trump is doing, seriously, it cannot possibly be a surprise because we knew he was a deranged idiot when he was, on TV as an entertainer. We knew this. There's nothing surprising that he's doing. He's telegraphed everything that he's actually doing. So the question is, knowing what a nut he is, what were the Democrats doing? They were doing the same old crap that Obama did, where he's responsible for black people losing their wealth. He's responsible for the surveillance state, the militarization of police. I mean, FISA. I still can't get over that one. He came up with legal systems where we could actually drone strike an American citizen overseas, instead of this thing called due process in the trial. So it's simply not a Trump issue anymore. So when I see someone doing a No Kings protest, they kind of look stupid to me. Now, I'm not going to say that typically because I do have theoretically in my mind that I want to be open to everyone. I want to.
I think I'm going to challenge you on that just a little bit because Mark Mixon, who was on this show, challenged me, and I never thought about it until he said it. Because I was talking about the hands-off protest. I'm like, this is nothing more than the people trying to put people back in the Democratic Party, blah, blah, blah. It was like, have you ever thought of going and talking about the Justice for All Party? And to be honest, that thought never crossed my mind. So I say now, thank you, Mark, go to those protests, right? And say, hey, person, I know that's going to, you got to produce leaflets or whatever they call them now, postcards or a QR code. Yeah, we're a big T-shirt with a QR code. Be like, this is what we believe. Because I was very critical of the hands-off movement. I was very, very critical. And when he said it like that, I was like, oh yeah, I hadn't thought about it.
It sounds sensible today. My partner and I, we love a local personality, Akuya Karen Vargas. She is a treasure trove of African American history. An amazing woman. She's kind of the lone voice against the caucasity of the Pacific Northwest. It's a problem. So we're going to her event. She's the organizer of Juneteenth for our town, Bremerton, in the state of Washington. And we get there, and unfortunately, it was my fault. I got there late. I wanted to be a speaker, but I wanted to take the horns because I suspected this thing that actually happened. So we get there late, and poor Akuya, the small woman, is surrounded by a mountain of white folk.
Mm.
And 98% of these people are no kings, neoliberal. They simply do not know what they're doing. They have completely overwhelmed the event so that it is not Juneteenth and it's not a struggle against poverty or the abuse of power. It is anti-Trump Day. And so they're on the mic, and they're doing their thing. They're the cliche that neoliberals just spew in their dreams. They don't even think about it. And Robin and I are there watching them, and we realize we are never going to cut through that. Akuya, who is absolutely an intelligent, brilliant, not only historian, but she knows what's going on. She's Cornell West. She is a Cornell West fan, by the way. So she knows what's happening, but it is so difficult in a mass of neoliberals, a mass of non-thinking, vote blue no matter who people, to actually cut through. Our interaction with this lady holding the No King sign took place like in less than a minute. So she profiled us like very without any evidence. The mere fact that we didn't jump up and say, "Yeah, let's go," that marked us as some kind of untouchable Trumpers. I don't know what, but the idea that you described, it seems to make sense, but I think psychologically there is a bigger problem. I was telling Akuya, I learned a new word in the past couple of years, and that is agnotology. It is the intentional production of ignorance. And you can do agnotology simply by having an omission in everything you say or do. And in the blue neoliberal world, the omission, the production of ignorance is that they never admit they hurt people. They never admit they hurt their own voters routinely, unthinkingly. You can even talk systemic racism to them, and they'll say, yeah, that's a big problem. Yeah, for sure. And they will never understand that they are part of systemic racism. They never cop to it. So it is a psychological problem. It's a lack of intellectual integrity. It is super hard to cut through a mountain, a mass of neoliberal Democrats.
But I'm going to say this, you have to do it anyway, right?
You do?
Because if we quit, if we just say, you know what, I'm tired, I can't. Because trust me, trust and believe. I went out and gathered petitions for Dr. West. It was some days I was like, you know what? Okay, I'm done. I can't with these people. They go,
Yeah.
And remember, all we're asking them to do so his name can be on the ballot.
Yeah.
We're not asking you to vote for him yet. Yeah. We're just saying we want his name. It was like we were just saying, hey. Well, I was actually saying Joe Biden is the worst thing ever. But there were times when I was just like, I'm tired. Let him be, just what you get. But if I stop, who's gonna do it? I can't guarantee, because I don't speak up, that I'm not gonna say nobody will speak up, but nobody's gonna say it quite the way I say it, right? We can't just, I get what you're saying, I understand, but you still gotta keep knocking. You gotta keep knocking.
You do, but you have to, in order to cut through, you really do have to have an opening. There has to be a person there or two or a group that
you keep going to those groups.
They have to be receptive. Like they actually have to put their signs down and listen and pay attention to you. So if there's not even that, I'm kind of wasting my energy. And
keep wasting it. I'm going to just keep saying, keep wasting it. Because if you don't, because you never know. It may not be, and we learned this in our evangelism class, it may not be you that gets them, But if somebody follows behind you and says the same thing, it may be that person, right? It may not be, somebody may look at this podcast and say, look, I'm not going with the Justice for All party. But then they'll meet somebody else and they'll listen to that person, right? So I can't, like, I can't accept that. I can't, because that's just me quitting. And quitting,
I think
there's no quit in me.
that might be part of why I've committed to this thing I've done for the past year, where I know these really wealthy developers in the city.
And you're going to run for office, right?
Mm-hmm.
The mayoral candidate today.
Oh, no, we didn't ask about him. We asked about you.
No, he brought it up. He said, a year after from today, I want to start encouraging local people to run. And today was the first time I didn't gag at the idea. But it's because I've had this past year where I'm looking at these politicians in the face and making these accusations to them, which I know I have proof of,
Mm-hmm.
and it's dead eyes. I am looking at people who are soulless, but I have the goods, and I realize, okay, if I don't do this, who else is going to do this?
That's what we're saying. It's like, if we don't do it, if we don't make the move, we can't depend. And nobody say you're just bashing the Green Party. I'm not. The statement I'm about to make, I'm not bashing the Green Party. I am not. Yeah. But we can't depend on the Socialist Party. We can't depend on the Green Party. We can't depend on GSA. Goodness knows we can't depend on the Democrat Party. We have us, right? If we don't do
as
it,
far as I can tell, we're the moral lead. That's if we talk about our party being about truth, justice, and love, then we are the moral compass.
Exactly. That's exactly right. And I think, it's hard because Tim puts Carson 2026, and I'm like, nah, because it ain't happening. Because see, I know my problems. I know, one, I got a real smart mouth. Smart mouths I just can't see myself doing it. But it's stuff in our state. I'm like, wait a minute now. I know I could beat that person. I know good and well I could beat that person, because
you know how refreshing it would be to have you running. Mm-hmm. I think people would so respond to that level of authenticity. Seriously.
If you think Trump has a mouth on him, I'm way worse.
But here's
the thing.
People love Trump for that quality. They might be the wrong people, but they love his shoot from the hip off.
Yeah, I just say first thing come to my mind is out my mouth. I was like, oh, yep, that's what I said. Said what I said.
That's probably what a third of the voters that are registered and don't bother to show up to the polls are looking for. Somebody who actually shoots from the hip,
and
means what they say, and cares about people.
Here's what I've always said. I will not be my own campaign manager. It will not happen. I will not do it. No, I need somebody to rein me in and say, Tracy, here's the goal. Go here. Do this. I will not. Well, one, I will not run. But second,
Jose, you heard her say that she just needs a campaign manager and she's running, right?
No, that's not what I said. I said if I ran, I would not be my own campaign manager.
We'll find the clip. We'll shut it down. We'll make it TikTok. It'll go crazy.
I just don't see it. And especially in the district that I live in. I'm in congressional seat 7. Because that's Andre Carson's district. I have literally.
Can you say it? Can you say it one more time so that we can get that clip? I just need a campaign manager. It's not going to be me.
No, I said if I ran, which I'm not going to, then I would not be my own campaign manager. I think that's a critical mistake that third-party candidates make. I think that's a critical mistake, because I think you need that organization. You need that campaign manager. That's not you coordinating the campaign. I think now I would be a fantastic campaign manager. Like, you could not beat me, because I'd be like, sir, this is what you need to do. You need to do this. You need to do this. You need to do this. You need to be here. You need to be here. Yeah, that I could do all day, all time. But the candidate,
Okay, so you heard we're unclear who the candidate is, but there's clearly a Justice for All party candidate running in Indiana's 7th congressional district.
no, there's not. There is absolutely not.
You said you're the campaign manager.
I said I'm the campaign manager, which means there had to be another candidate.
Yep, that's your job.
It wouldn't be me, because I wouldn't be my own campaign manager. That's just, I'm setting myself up for failure.
Right. We just need you to recruit the candidate, and then you'll be able to be the campaign manager.
Oh, but I'm just like, no, because I know my, like, there's some things that make me an ideal candidate. I'm for Medicare for all. I'm for $40. I'm actually for a $40 living wage. 27, that's not enough for me, but okay, Medicare for all, free college. Personally, I think why we got all these bases around the world when half the time we don't even need them. I'm good on domestic issues, right? But if you run for a federal office, you're going to have to know some stuff about international politics, and that's where you're going to lose me, because I'm like, oh, no. I don't know what the heck.
Do you support war, Tracy?
I don't, absolutely not. Well, wait a minute. Here comes the wait a minute. It depends, right? If somebody bombs this country, if we bomb back, I'm not going to be like, well, that was terrible, because I feel like you're defending yourself. But then you have to understand why they're attacking you, right? Because there's too many layers to that question. But in general, no, I don't support wars.
All the wars that we're in the middle of right now, is it them attacking our land, or is it?
No, it's us putting our free will. Yeah, that I'm definitely, absolutely, positively against. Absolutely.
Okay. There we go. You've heard it from the future campaign manager or candidate.
No, not or candidate, campaign manager. Like if Jose would rent, but see, I'm in Indiana, he way in Washington State, so we would have problems, right? I tell you who we should get, because Jose, you live in Washington State. Who's in Washington? Tim is on our committee.
Ashton's up there, and isn't Mark up there? Or
yeah, it sure is. Yep. Yep. We got 2 possible people that can help you. Yep. And they live right in your state.
And if I'm not mistaken, they've got a handful of other folks that they work with up there.
Yep, they surely do.
How do you guys feel about working or collaborating with the Green Party or other parties, period?
I'm for it and against it.
It depends on the situation.
It depends on, I'm with you, Tim. It depends on the situation.
If, for instance, we had been doing organizing in a particular area, but we're not running a candidate, and the Green Party is, and most likely I would say that would be a legitimate support that we could offer to them.
Yep. Like Bush is running in California. Well, I know governor. Thank you. I ideally have no problem supporting his candidacy, even though he's Green Party.
Yeah.
But if there was a Justice for All candidate running, but you might have to take a back seat.
But the Justice for All party is not focused, at the moment at least, on trying to put forward something like a gubernatorial candidate.
Right.
So there's no reason why the Justice for All party can't run a number of California congressional candidates and still support the gubernatorial candidate.
Well, we can still support his candidacy, because for me, it depends on the situation. Like in Indiana, I'm gonna use Indiana. We are not ready to run any candidates. We just aren't. We aren't at that point where we can do it. We basically got 2 people showing up to our meetings. And people, get connected to your local Justice for All party, please. We need to start growing the parties statewide. But we're just not in that. We're not in that framework, because ours is so different. It would probably make more sense for us to run a Secretary of State candidate, work to get that 2%, so that whomever runs for president can automatically get on the ballot. That would make more sense to me to do that, instead of running a congressional candidate where I think only 1 seat really is into play, and that's oh, that lady that's from that other country, and I think her seat is gettable, but I don't live in that district, right? So it depends on the situation.
Because the guy who announced his mayoral candidacy today at the Juneteenth celebration is African American, and he's kind of like us. Has been a great advocate for the persecuted homeless. He knows it's a stacked deck here for ordinary people, workers, and the homeless versus, this, I call it the developers cartel in town. But I don't think he's actually affiliated with any particular party. But he gave this speech, and everything about his speech, he could be a justice for all guy. So I don't actually know how to approach him.
Ask.
Reach out to him. Reach out to him. Tell him you're with the Justice for All party.
It's like, hey, you want to get involved with us?
Like to be involved with the Justice for All party as part of his campaign.
Yep, that's an easy one. I could do that all day. Hey, you want to run with the Justice for All party? Yes or no? That's all it is. Yeah. Either it's a yes or it's a no. To me, I mean, that's just how I think. I think that's another problem with me running. My views, I'm too simple. Right? No, let me explain. Complex problems require complex solutions. If you look at any type of issue, and I'm going to pick my favorite, Medicare for All, it's not just an issue of providing health care for everybody. It's you got to attack big pharma. You got to attack big insurance. You got to attack doctors that are prescribing medication based off of big pharma putting money in their pockets. It's all of these layers that you have to attack. And I'm just like, well, everybody deserves health care. I think
that's legitimate. And there's no reason why you're saying that is any less valuable than the simple-minded people that are currently saying everybody shouldn't have health care.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you have to start with the framework. And then you embrace that framework, and the details will come as you zero in on particular problems. But yeah, I believe in framing it where it is simple. You've got to. It doesn't.
Well, we don't do that, and that's my second criticism. We do not do that. What we do, and y'all know, I love everybody. Even Trump. I know it's my Christian responsibility. It's something I have to do. Bible commands me to do it. I got to do it whether I like it or not, because I can't be none of his. If I say I don't like this man, can't do that. But when you look at how we talk, I come from a Black family. I'm just gonna put it the way I'm gonna put it. Nobody in my family says, if I went up to my family and said Joe Biden is a neoliberal, they would literally look at me like, what are you talking about? We use terms so nobody but us know what we talking about. Yeah. We say stuff and like, what are you? I've seen people get like glass looks, and I'm like, no, what they saying is this. This is what they saying. But when we say it, we're using these words. Nobody knows what we're saying.
Yeah. Just for kicks, my family grew up in a white family that has degrees. If I had the same conversation where I started telling them about the neoliberals versus the nationalists and corporatists, and this is what's going on, they get glassy-eyed. They don't care.
It's like, what are you talking about? And I think, and I'm gonna give him this problem. That's what Trump does well. If I give him credit for anything, because y'all know I don't give that man no credit, but that's something he does well. He knows how to talk to ordinary people. And I wish that third-party candidates would learn that skill, because how many times have I explained the term neoliberal, neo-fascist, fascism, oligarchy? I'm like, I just feel like, well, to see what it really means is this, and what it really means, it's like we got to stop that.
You know why though? It's because when we use these specialized terms, this particular vocabulary, it bucks the universe of neoliberal thought. Like we breathe in neoliberalism. It's the structure of our language now. They actually perverted the language so that in the old days when you were liberal, that meant you were pro FDR, you were pro labor, and then in the 80s, the New Democrats started taking over, the Clinton people, and they actually perverted language so the substance changed, but the virtue wrapping these concepts stayed the same. So they would take the credit for being the good guys by being for civil rights, but then they wouldn't admit that actually they were killing affirmative action. They were marginalizing black people. You know,
Yeah.
they were killing the social safety network, the whole welfare reform thing. That was based on stigmatizing black people and infiltrating the idea of welfare as a bad thing because people didn't take personal responsibility. So when we start then pushing back and we say that's an example of neoliberalism, it's because we've lived our lives. We've lived generations under this new hive mind of neoliberalism. So this idea of agnotology, the production of ignorance, that's part of what neoliberalism was about. It subverted our view of reality in our language. And I think part of the fight against that is in my fantasy world is to have great intellects take it on at face value. But not only that, we need our own think tank. Like the Heritage Foundation, that's its own thing. The neoliberals have their own think tanks that used to be progressive. The word progressive doesn't even mean anything anymore. But we need a counter, and I don't know if it's an online library or if it's a book list. We need a touchstone where when someone says, "What in the world is neoliberalism?" you can say, you know, there is a source of information that will explain why people like me are against the duopoly. You may not know what the duopoly is, but what we basically stand for is that our system is so corrupt that we don't believe in making a distinction between red and blue because they both hurt people. You should go
Right, but I see where you're going. But my thing is, again, when I say, well, Joe Biden is a neo-fascist. Yeah, I said a true statement, but I guarantee if I said it to my 30-year-old niece, she's gonna be like, Aunt Tracy, what? And I think we have to think in those, we have to take our message and make it as plain, like healthcare for everybody, living wage, no more wars. Just make it is just put it in the simplest term. Not to say people are stupid, because I don't want to say that. But boy, if I hear neo-fascism or oligarchy one more time,
this is, you know how I start? I say Joe Biden is a degenerate, and he's been that all his life. And then they say, what?
I just say he's racist, but hey, that's just me.
I like degenerate because it cuts through a person's view of racism. It gets down to the nitty gritty. Would you trust this man to sit down next to your child unattended, where your child doesn't have access to you? No, you wouldn't. Why?
And you shouldn't with any president of the United States ever.
They're cringe. I mean,
exactly. It's like, oh, was Obama? Nope, sure wasn't. Nope.
So my thing is I do start with integrity. I don't even get anywhere near ideology. It's, do these people lie? Do these people take me for a fool? You know, do these people have not the fake empathy that they use to get votes, but if there's no one around and they see
you didn't believe Kamala Harris when she said, we're working around the clock for a ceasefire, and then the Intercept told us different, but I'm supposed to believe you. Girl, early, I'm sorry. I'm trying not to go off on a tangent because that one, whoo,
very early on, I read her pre-election memoirs. The person in her book was a marvelous progressive candidate.
So is her father. I'm like, girl, what happened?
Early in Joe Biden's administration. She said to the press, President Biden is his empathy. He is the hallmark. No, empathy is the hallmark of the Biden presidency. Now, I know that his entire life he has lied on black people. He has gone to black churches and just lied out of his.
He was in the civil rights march. I mean, he marched with Dr. King. I mean, come on. He was right there. Dr. King asked him, how should I write the I Have a Dream speech? Man, what'd you think, Joe? Come on, tell me.
So
I think he said, which way do we go?
That is an example of someone who is such a degenerate. He is irredeemable, and we need to learn not to idol worship, because if we start idol worshiping, we're going to have 50 years of really bad politics.
True. I agree with that.
If you have a bad character, you're going to have bad politics. I do believe that character matters. And nowadays, I could have a Republican, if that person is a genuinely good human being. I can work with that person because I can try to convince him if he is genuinely good, he's going to actually listen to me and look at the evidence, whatever. You have someone like Biden, and this man just doesn't care. He'll throw you under the bus in a second.
I mean, he did visit Nelson Mandela in prison. I mean, look at his record speaks for itself. Why y'all laughing? His record speaks for itself. If Joe Biden is not a civil rights leader, I don't know what a civil rights leader is.
Yeah.
And of course, everybody out there, that's called sarcasm, which means I literally didn't mean any of that.
I mean, that's what he was known for at the very beginning of his legislative career, was a segregationist Joe, because he was all for segregation.
Yeah.
Not Joe Biden. Not that Joe Biden said, if you don't vote for me and you black, you ain't black.
You ain't black.
Guess I ain't black. I'm like, I mean, my whole skin color, Joe Biden said I wasn't black.
You didn't realize he's the one giving out black cards?
Yeah, apparently.
I asked neoliberals, what are we going to do when he's elected and we have to explain his history? And the solution is silence. We will never talk about it. Don't you dare talk about it. What are you trying to do? Get people angry? That was actually the response I got from 90%, really more, when I addressed that. So when he disabled Puerto Ricans, I was like, well, this is what happens.
Not to interrupt, Jose, but Nelson, you are absolutely wrong for this comment. Biden befriended Corn Pop that was going to come up with the You see, Nelson. See, Nelson, you know you're wrong. You know you're wrong. Corn Pop. I'm done with Nelson. I'm done with you. Dude, you're wrong for that one. But people are so... Listen, y'all know, y'all heard me say it before. Dr. West, I do not worship Dr. West, right? Don't. There are some little minor things I'm like, I don't really agree with you on this or that or other. But in general, if he had even gotten close to the White House, I don't think that half of the stuff that was going on now would be going on. Well, of course, it would probably still be in the courts because they can't accept defeat. But I mean, besides that, and then me calling up every last one of my friends and laughing in their face. But
the country would be remarkably different. And people would be going crazy about the number of executive orders that he had signed.
How dare he sign an executive order? And Obama signed more than any of them. Obama signed more executive orders than Trump.
Nope, Trump is over that now.
Oh, he's over that? He's past Obama? Well, congratulations,
he's signing a ridiculous amount this term.
Because I thought Obama signed a whole lot of them. But, I mean...
It was actually, you have to go back to...
You wouldn't have Doge under...
somebody who was...
Right.
Jimmy Carter was the last one that did a really aggressive number. And I believe Trump is now over the Jimmy Carter, which means that you'd have to go back to FDR when FDR was in office, and he was signing them based upon the Great Depression and World War II.
Yep, and that's what I'm just like, shut up. Well, how's he going to govern? I'm like, executive orders, just like the rest of the presidents did. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do. I know we wouldn't have Doge. That's completely illegal, and no Democrat ever thought, hey, let's take this to court, because I guess that thought never occurred to them. Like, it just never came to mind for them to do that. And if they actually thought about it, this is Mayor Garland's fault. Y'all need to blame him for Trump. He sat there, got in office, and for a whole year didn't do no type of investigation. Literally, if I'm Attorney General, that's the first thing I would have done. Like, I'm like, okay, we're having an investigation. This is what we're going to do. Get a special counsel, blah, blah, blah. Nope. Because they rather have Donald Trump as president than Dr. Cornel West. I said what I said, and I'm not taking it back.
He's also better for fundraising.
Exactly. Because I'm like, what y'all gonna do when 2028 comes around? Because JD Vance ain't it. I'm just like, he ain't not, bruh, no.
Except that he's got the backing of, I want to say, Peter Thiel.
He does, but his personality is that of a piece of wood. I mean, at least Trump's got personality. Like, you can say whatever you want. He could be funny. Vance is just like, I'm like, dude, wake up. You put me to sleep. People not going, Oh, and his wife is not white. Well, he got to be vice president and his wife is not white.
Right.
Okay, I'll take that argument back. But I think we've had a really good discussion. And I didn't realize it had gone this long. But I want to last thing I want to discuss, very, very last thing is, and this is a brief answer, so no long dissertations, is where do you want to see the Justice for All party at? And it can be anything. And I have a specific answer, but I'll let the gentleman go first.
Until I lost it, I wore a Justice for All cap at the city council and planning commission hearings I go to complain about them. I would like for people to say, regardless of their ideology, they could say, hey, that's that Justice for All guy. Like that there would be personalities out there who had made such a stink, who had scared enough neoliberals or succeeded in lawsuits or had sit-ins that they would be, the phrase Justice for All would have a distinct impression on people's mind. Just that meant something distinct from everything else. That's what I would like to see. Now, that's kind of BS because it doesn't necessarily mean it's substantive change. But I think that if the mental impression out there is deep enough where people start using that phrase, because it is corny to neoliberals. It's like old school. It's like 60s. And I like it for that reason. But I would like for people to say, oh, that's that Justice for All thing or ideology, or even if it was dismissive, I would like it to have a distinct place in American vocabulary. I don't know how that happens, but I think a few of us need to actually get super loud and in people's faces.
Oh, okay, Tim.
I'd say I'd kind of like to piggyback on that and suggest that I'd like to see a number of the independent political media in the World Wide Web space. Perhaps we could even say in the YouTube media space would start to pick up on the Justice for All party and recognize that it's far different from what's being offered, and start to talk about it regularly in a way that they really don't, even with the Green Party.
My answer is going to be completely different. I want to be blamed for a Democrat losing an election. I want the Justice for All party to be blamed for some little APAC, Big Pharma taking Democrat losing an election. And I'm talking presidential, although the Electoral College votes for a president and not actual people. I get it, but I want to be the blame. I want people to shake in their boots when they see a Justice for All, when they see the Justice for All party there, it's like, oh no, it's them. And of course, I want this podcast to be, it's unofficial, but I would like this podcast to be the official podcast, but it's unofficial right now. But those are the things I want to see. Those are the things. So everybody,
It's the official unofficial.
It's not official. It's not. It's definitely not official.
It's officially unofficial.
But it's yes, it's both. It's like unofficially, officially, no, it's but that's okay. That's okay. Everybody, I do want to remind everybody, and let me go through this last couple of announcements. I think we've had a really good discussion this evening. Mark your calendars, mark them now. August the 30th is coming up. Join us for the Justice for All Fundraiser-A-Thon. Like I said, it starts at 6:00 p.m. I'm preparing for a 3-hour show. A 3-hour show. We're going to have hopefully some singers, some poetry, some comedy, some juggling, some something. And our goal is to raise $25,000 in one evening. It can be done. We've got enough contacts to make this happen. Mark your calendars and mark them now. And if you're on the mailing list, you'll get a flyer probably tomorrow afternoon stating how badly I am in need of talent. But if you are not on that mailing list and you're Justice for All and you want to be a part of the Fundraiser-A-Thon, hit me up at Tracy, TracyMcarson74@gmail.com, and I will give you the form. Tune in tomorrow for Tracy's Week in Review. We got a show for y'all. Oh boy, you thought last week was a humdinger. Tomorrow's show, wow. All I'm going to say is Indianapolis, Indiana City Council got real violent last week. Real violent. So tune in for that. Remember to subscribe to this show. Remember to share this show, like it, comment, subscribe, do all those things. Gentlemen, thank you. Happy Father's Day to both of you. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. Let's keep going with truth, justice, and love. That's right. Yes, truth, justice, and love. Yes. Thank you all for watching. Have a great evening. I'm taking everybody down, and we're going to do the outro.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Thank you. Okay, y'all still here?
Oh, he disappeared.
Nope. And